Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. Thanks for joining me today. So today you will see the time lapse of the tiger I recently finished. So you will see the time lapse of the whole thing. I've sped it up quite fast, otherwise the video would be too long. The process of this tiger was about 7.5 hours in total, which actually isn't very much compared to my other colored pencil drawings. I drew this on Pastelmat with polychromos. For the background I used a very dark gray pastel from Faber-Castell. So I did the background with pastels, which went quite quickly. And then I did the head of the tiger with polychromos only. And then for the body I used a combination of pastels and colored pencil. So that sped up the process quite a lot. So I did a video recently about the differences between colored pencil and pastels. So if you're interested in that, you can watch that. I will link that one as well. That really explains why I choose to work with polychromos on Pastelmat sometimes and why I do pastel pencil drawings sometimes. But for this tiger I chose colored pencil. Really love working with colored pencil on Pastelmat, as you know. And yeah, I didn't do a tiger yet with colored pencils, so I really wanted to do one. I did a tiger a couple of years ago with graphite, but I never did one in color. So, and I love cats, I love big cats, so I thought let's try it for Patreon as well. So this was a project for Patreon. The whole thing in real time is available on there with narration and color list and reference photo as well, and line drawing. So if you want to follow the project along from start to finish, you can follow that on Patreon. For the $7 tier, there have already been lots of great results from it. So very nice to see. Alright, so I'll walk you through the process a little bit. So I started out with the eyes, as always, basically. I've tried to make them a little bit more colorful compared to the reference photo. You see it very small in the corner, the reference photo. So starting off with the eyes, and then I moved on by mapping out all the markings on the face. And I did that first with a lighter color. I chose Caput Mortem Violet, which is a very dark purplish reddish color. And I thought that would look good with the rest of the fur. So I chose that color to map out all the markings before I went over it with black, for instance. If you go in with black right away, that could look a little bit flat. So although all the markings are very dark looking, I decided to go in first with another color just to give that a bit more depth of color. And then I started with the fur. So for the fur, you can see on the reference that this tiger is very, very yellow looking. And I decided that I didn't want it to be so yellow like on the reference. So I decided to put in more browns and more reddish tones as well to contrast the yellow a little bit. So I did use some brighter yellow tones like yellow ochre and burnt umber and bistre as well. But I also decided to use burnt sienna and walnut brown and a little more neutral tones to balance out the amount of yellow in the fur. And with colored pencil you can build up from dark to light quite well. So you can start out with adding the darker brown tones as a base for the fur and then draw the lighter hairs on top. So that's really, really nice. You can't do that on white paper, as I've mentioned in the previous video. So that's also why the process went quite fast. So then it's just a matter of building up those base tones, finding the right colors, and then adding all those little white hairs on top. The hair on the face is very short, so you can draw individual hairs there. When you get to the longer fur, like on the neck and the body, the fur is a bit longer, so you can focus on the clumps of fur a little bit more. and also on the bridge of the nose. Fur is very, very short, so I basically draw dots there as hairs. So I put down the base tone of several browns, and then I drew very, very tiny little hairs, almost dots, in the direction of the nose to create the fur texture on the bridge of the nose. Whoops, I see now that there's a fault in the reference photo in the corner. I should have changed that to the mouth area, but I forgot. So that's a bit stupid. Maybe I can still change that. Probably not. Alright, so for the mouth area, the mouth was very, very fun to draw. You can see a little bit of the tongue as well. For the tongue, I decided to put in more pinkish, reddish tones, but I tried to keep it very neutral as well. I didn't want the tongue to be super vibrant looking. So I did use some Venetian red, some pinks, but also I added in some browns and some Pastelmat violet to make sure that those colors stayed very neutral. And then the teeth were very, very yellow looking, so I really enhanced that. I added lots of yellows to the teeth, and I could add the highlights on top of the base tones, just like I did with the fur. And then for the chin was a bit wet looking. So for the chin, I really focused on the clumps of hair. So I didn't really draw individual hairs on the chin, but I focused on the clumps. And I drew the shadows in between those hairs with darker tones. So then moving on to the body. The body took the most time. I also found the body the most difficult because of the stripes. So I had to put in the stripes first. I did that as well with the Pastelmat violet, just like I did with the face. I did misplace some of the stripes, which I wasn't very happy with in the end, but in the end I think it all came together and you don't really see the misplacement of the stripes anymore, especially if you don't know what the reference looks like. But I did have some trouble with the body. So what I did was I did a full colored pencil layer just next to the face, and then I decided to make a transition into a pastel underlayer on the left half of the body. And it was a bit difficult to find the right tones of pastel to match the colored pencil tones, so I had a bit of trouble with that. But after lots and lots of layering, I managed to make it look more natural. And then in the end, I also decided to darken up the left side of the body a whole lot more to make it look like he was like appearing out of the shadows or something like that. And then I made the area right next to the face the most detailed, like on the shoulder and on the chest. And then the rest of the body I kept very undetailed so that the viewer would look at the face instead of at the body. And then I added some fireflies, which I left out of the video process because I decided to add those later after I stopped filming. So I did add some fireflies, so you will see that in the end result right now. And then after 7 hours, the drawing was finished. So I hope you liked it. I hope you liked watching the process. If you have any questions about it, let me know. And then I will see you next time in a new project. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.